The societies that have tried to aim at equity are the terrible communistic societies of the 20th century.
If Joe Biden's elected president, they're going to keep him in the White House residence, and Kamala Harris is going to run the show. She is rated more left-wing than Bernie Sanders. She just put out a video on Twitter today talking about how we have to have equal outcomes for everyone. Now they say progressive, they say left, all this stuff. I don't know what all that means. I think you peel it all back, it's all the same thing. Marxism. We are not going to allow Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States.
플로리다 주지사가 방금 전 언급한 카말라의 그 영상. 지난 영상에서도 제가 카말라의 이 영상을 보고 카말라는 뼛속까지 접하라고 말씀드렸었죠? 함께 보시죠.
So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests, oh, everyone should get the same amount. The problem with that, not everybody's starting out from the same place. So if we're all getting the same amount, but you started out back there and I started out over here, we could get the same amount, but you're still going to be that far back behind me. It's about giving people the resources and the support they need so that everyone can be on equal footing and then compete on equal footing. Equitable treatment means we all end up at the same place.
그러니까 지금 카말라는 한마디로 모든 사람의 출발선을 맞추기 위해 뒤처져 있는 사람들에게 혜택을 줘서 결국엔 모두가 같은 장소에 함께 도착하는 그런 세상을 꿈꾸고 있는 것 같습니다. 즉 모든 사람의 결과가 똑같아야 한다는 거죠. 그럼 우리 모두가 함께 행복해질 수 있어 라고 사람들에게 꿈을 심어주면서요. 낙수 효과를 연구했던 경제학자 토마스 소엘은 카말라의 이러한 주장이 허무맹랑하다고 주장합니다.
Well, this is one of any number of one-factor explanations as to why everyone doesn't have the same outcome. But when you do research, you discover that everywhere you turn, there are 1,000 reasons why people don't turn out the same. It goes right down to the family. I point out that the firstborn has higher IQs than his siblings. And later life has more achievements. Among astronauts, for example, of the 29 astronauts in the Apollo program that put a man on the moon, 22 were either the firstborn or an only child. Now, if you can't get equality among people born to the same parents and raised under the same roof, why in the world would you think you're going to get it among people who've had such different histories and cultures around the world?
You continue to hear politicians using statistics, sort of cherry-picking statistics in order to form economic policies where the government gets directly involved. They always do it under the guise of social justice. It seems like anything that is led by the phrase social justice can be accepted by these people.
Yes, and I guess one of the crucial assumptions of the social justice literature is that in the absence of bias, people would be similar, but they're not similar. Almost nowhere, anywhere in the world, or in any period of history, do you find any society in which groups that compete openly end up with the same results. I can come up with umpteen different examples of this disparities in various situations, including situations where it is not possible for it to be either discrimination or genetics. People on the other side cannot give you one example. You can read reams of paper by advocates of social justice and not find one example anywhere in the world. There are people who've done international studies. Braudel, I quote, the French historian. He said, in no society has all parts of the population had the same outcome.
첫째가 더 똑똑하다는 거에 대해서는 이견이 있을 수 있겠지만 심지어 형제 자매 사이들 간에도 성격이나 지능이 다른 건 팩트입니다. 그런데 어떻게 다른 배에서 태어난 모든 사람들이 같은 출발선에서 출발해야 한다는 주장을 하는 걸까요? 사실 이렇게 주장하는 건 토마스 소웰뿐만이 아닙니다. 조던 피터스 또한 지능이 높은 사람은 지능이 낮은 사람보다 좀 더 복잡한 영역에서 성공할 확률이 높다고 봅니다. 예를 들어 법 지식을 많이 알아야 하는 법조계에 종사하는 사람들처럼요.
There is immense differences between people in their cognitive ability. And in their conscientiousness and in their negative emotionality and in their energy levels and in their creativity and all sorts of traits. And because of that individual diversity, there's no reason to assume that there is going to be equality of outcome. And that's what equity is. The historical data on equity are absolutely clear. The societies that have tried to aim at equity are the terrible communistic societies of the 20th century, and they were so goddamn so unbelievably murderous and counterproductive that it beggars the imagination. And so I can't even believe we have a conversation about equity because it's such a pathological idea. It's completely invalidated by the historical data.
또한 카말라의 주장처럼 인간 모두의 출발선을 정부가 이렇게 인공적으로 맞추려고 하다 보면 역효과가 날 수 있다고 합니다. 역차별을 일어난다는 것이죠. 함께 영상 보시죠.
Are goals like economic equality or economic opportunity, racial equality, are those good goals for a nation?
If you mean by equality of opportunity, yes. If you mean any belief that you're going to get the same end results, the answer is no. What those kinds of goals do is simply tear a society apart, often making all the groups in it worse off than they would have been otherwise. It's sad, affirmative action in academia, for example, takes minority students and mismatches them with institutions. For example, when I was at Cornell, the average black student enrolled at Cornell at that time scored at the 75th percentile on the SATs. The average white student in liberal arts at Cornell at that time scored at the 99th percentile. Half the black students were on academic probation. In other words, you had kids who would have been on the dean's list at most of the colleges in this country, but they were sent to colleges where they were virtually guaranteed not to make it. No society is able to do that or has ever done that in any country. And so what you're asking for is for life chances to be the same. When you think of all the differences, it's virtually impossible. Some kids are maybe raised in families that are the same economic level, but one family will have one set of attitudes toward education, and the other will not. And the one who's in the family that does not have that same attitude, he may be a fine fellow, he may be bright, all of that. He doesn't have the same chance. There's almost no way he could have the same chance.
지금 미국에서 대학을 가거나 국영기업체에서 승진을 할 때 오히려 백인이라는 이유로 차별을 당한다고 합니다. 나보다 능력 또는 점수가 떨어지는데도 흑인 또는 히스패닉이라는 이유 하나로 그들은 나 대신 하버드에 입학하며 회사에서도 먼저 승진한다고 합니다. 이게 정말 그들이 외치는 공정과 평등일까요? 그들이 그리는 모두가 행복한 세상이 이런 걸까요? 경제사학자 데이비드 렌즈가 이렇게 말합니다. 세상은 단 한 번도 기울어지지 않은 운동장인 적이 없었다. 또한 미국 교육자 찰스 스키즈도 인생이란 공평하지 않다. 그 사실을 받아들여라 라고 말했습니다. 안타깝게도 인생이 공평하지 못하다는 것은 사실인 것 같습니다. 외모, 재능, 가정환경, 심지어 건강 모든 면에서 인생은 불공평합니다. 세상이 불공평하니 난 아무리 노력해도 안 된다라고 불평을 하며 자포자기하는 것보다는 속상하더라도 세상이 불공평하다는 사실을 빨리 받아들이고 이를 바꾸려고 노력과 최선을 다한 뒤 본인이 여유가 생기면 그때 본인보다 뒤처진 사람들을 위해 힘써주는 것이 더 행복하고 멋진 삶을 살아가는 방법이 아닐까요? 저는 정치인들도 완전히 공평한 사회는 존재할 수 없다는 것을 누구보다 잘 알 거라고 생각합니다. 그런데 왜 모두에게 공평한 사회를 만들겠다며 효과가 없고 우리 사회나 경제 발전에 도움이 전혀 되지 않는 경제 정책들을 시행하려고 하는 걸까요? 토마스 소웰은 이러한 질문에 이렇게 대답합니다.
Look, these are things that are benefiting them. Politicians stay in office by saying things that people want to hear and by not accepting evidence that shows that they've gone wrong.